In the grand tapestry of R&B, commercial success is one thing, but achieving ultimate validation from the music industry's highest gatekeepers is a whole different ballgame. They gave us unforgettable harmonies, legendary slow jams, and some of the greatest performances ever seen on stage. But only a few groups reached the very top of the Grammy mountain. While some of the greatest vocalists were infamously snubbed, an elite circle of legendary collectives managed to completely rewrite Grammy history. We're counting down 12 powerhouse R&B groups who walked away with the highest number of golden trophies. At number 12, we begin with one of the most revolutionary groups in music history, Sly and the Family Stone. Long before modern R&B blended funk, rock, soul, and social commentary together, this groundbreaking group was already doing it in the late 1960s and early 70s. Led by the unpredictable genius of Sly Stone, the band created explosive classics like Family Affair, Everyday People, and Dance to the Music, helping redefine what black music could sound like. Their multicultural lineup, psychedelic sound, and politically charged lyrics made them one of the most influential acts of their era. Despite their massive cultural impact, Grammy recognition surprisingly remained limited compared to their influence. The group earned 4 Grammy nominations and won 1 Grammy Award during their career. Years later, the Recording Academy honored them with a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award for permanently changing the sound of funk, soul, and R&B music. Even today, the DNA of modern R&B, funk, hip-hop, and neo-soul can still be traced back to the fearless sound Sly and the Family Stone created decades ago. At number 11, we have one of the most elegant and emotionally powerful groups in soul music history, Gladys Knight and the Pips.
Just won't let it die.
Known for timeless classics like Midnight Train to Georgia, Neither One of Us, and If I Were Your Woman, the group became one of the defining voices of 70s R&B and soul. What separated them from many other acts of the era was the combination of Gladys Knight's rich, emotional vocals and the smooth choreography and harmonies of the Pips. Together, they created a sound that blended heartbreak, sophistication, gospel influence, and Southern soul into something unforgettable. The Recording Academy recognized their excellence throughout their legendary career. Gladys Knight and the Pips earned an incredible 2 Grammy wins and 7 Grammy nominations, making them one of the most awarded R&B groups of all time. Their music's crossed generations, influencing everyone from quiet storm singers to modern neo-soul artists. Decades later, songs like Midnight Train to Georgia still remain deeply connected to the emotional heart of classic R&B music. At number 10, we have one of the most successful party bands and funk groups in music history, Kool and the Gang. From hard-driving funk in the early 70s to smooth R&B crossover hits in the 80s, the group reinvented itself multiple times while dominating radio for decades. Songs like Celebration, Ladies' Night, Joanna, and Get Down on It turned Kool and the Gang into international superstars. Their ability to mix funk grooves, soulful vocals, dance rhythms, and pop appeal helped them become one of the biggest crossover acts of their era. The Grammys recognized their impact throughout their long career. Kool and the Gang earned 2 Grammy wins and 12 Grammy nominations, while also receiving a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award years later for their influence on funk soul, disco, and R&B music.
Sophisticated mama.
What made the group specials was their versatility. One moment they could create explosive dance records, and the next they could deliver romantic slow jams that became staples of 80s R&B radio.
This is your night, tonight, everything's gonna be alright.
Their sound helped shape generations of party music that followed.
Alright, this is your night, tonight, everything's gonna be.
At number 9, we have the group that helped redefine modern female R&B at the turn of the millennium, Destiny's Child. Emerging in the late 90s with powerful harmonies, sharp choreography, and confident anthems, the trio became one of the biggest-selling girl groups in music history. With massive hits like Say My Name, Survivor, Bills, 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 and Independent Women, Destiny's Child blended traditional R&B vocals with hip-hop attitude and pop crossover appeal. Their music celebrated independence, resilience, and female empowerment in a way that connected deeply with audiences worldwide. The Recording Academy rewarded the group heavily during their peak years. Destiny's Child earned an impressive 14 Grammy nominations and won 3 Grammy Awards as a group. While later solo success, especially from Beyoncé, would push those Grammy numbers even higher individually. What made Destiny's Child so important was their influence on the next generation of R&B and pop girl groups. Their vocal style, image, and empowerment themes became the blueprint for many artists that followed in the 2000s and beyond. At number 8, we have one of the most versatile and groundbreaking female groups in music history, the Pointer Sisters. Starting with jazz, gospel, and soul influences in the early 70s, the group later evolved into one of the biggest R&B and pop crossover acts of the 80s. Known for massive hits like Fire, Slow Hand, He's So Shy, and Jump for My Love, the Pointer Sisters mastered everything from soulful ballads to dance floor anthems. Their energetic performances, powerful harmonies, and ability to adapt to changing musical trends kept them successful across multiple decades. The Recording Academy rewarded their consistency and influence heavily over the years. The Pointer Sisters earned 10 Grammy nominations and won 3 Grammy Awards, becoming one of the most respected female vocal groups of their era. What made them special was their range. Few groups could move so naturally between funk, disco, pop, country, and R&B while still maintaining their signature vocal chemistry. Their influence can still be heard in countless female groups that followed during the 80s, 90s, and beyond. At number 7, we have one of the newest acts ever to make a list like this, Silk Sonic. Formed by Bruno Mars and Anderson's .Paak, the duo revived the sound of classic 70s soul and funk, while bringing it to an entirely new generation.
Girl, I got fillets. Ooh, baby, don't keep me.
With songs like Leave the Door Open and Smokin' Out the Window.
I'ma leave the door.
Silk Sonic blended vintage instrumentation, smooth harmonies, humor, and old-school showmanship into one of the biggest R&B projects of the 2020s. Their music felt heavily inspired by legends like Earth, Wind and Fire, the Stylistics, and the Delphonics, yet still modern enough for today's audience.
I'm waiting for you.
Despite being a relatively short-lived project, Silk Sonic dominated award season almost immediately.
To be alone. My house clean, my pool.
The duo earned 4 Grammy nominations and won all 4 Grammy Awards they were nominated for, including Record of the Year and Song of the Year for Leave the Door Open. What made Silk Sonic stand out was how successfully they reintroduced live instrumentation, soul arrangements, and retro R&B aesthetics back into mainstream popular music. At number 6, we have one of the greatest vocal groups ever assembled, The Temptations. Emerging from Motown in the 1960s, the group helped define the sound of classic soul and R&B.
On my knees I pray.
With timeless hits like My Girl, Ain't Too Proud to Beg, Just My Imagination, and Papa Was a Rollin' Stone.
Once again, running away with
What made The Temptations legendary was their unmatched combination of smooth harmonies, sharp choreography, emotional storytelling, and constantly evolving sound.
I watch her as she passes by.
They could move from romantic ballads to psychedelic soul and socially conscious music without losing their identity.
But it was just my imagination.
The Grammys recognized their influence across multiple decades.
Every night.
The Temptations earned 14 Grammy nominations and won 4 Grammy Awards during their historic career. They were also honored with a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award for their enormous impact on soul, R&B, and popular music. Their influence reaches far beyond Motown. Generations of R&B groups, from Boyz II Men to New Edition and Jodeci, borrowed elements of their harmonies, stage presence, and vocal arrangements.
Hear my plea.
Even today, The Temptations remain one of the most important groups in music history.
But in reality, she doesn't.
At number 5, we have one of the greatest vocal harmony groups ever created, Boyz II Men. Emerging from Philadelphia in the early 90s, the group brought classic soul harmonies into the modern era and became one of the biggest-selling R&B acts in history.
Well, maybe that's a pain we can't hide.
Known for emotional ballads like End of the Road, I'll Make Love to You, and One Sweet Day. Boyz II Men mastered the art of blending gospel influence, romantic storytelling, and flawless harmonies into music that dominated radio worldwide. Their smooth image and vocal precision helped redefine male R&B groups during the decade. The Grammys rewarded their success heavily throughout the 90s. Boyz II Men earned an incredible 15 Grammy nominations and won 4 Grammy Awards, including major categories during the height of their popularity. What made the group so important was their ability to bridge generations. Older audiences appreciated their traditional soul harmonies, while younger listeners connected with their modern production and emotional delivery. Even today, many artists still study Boyz II Men when learning vocal arrangement and harmony structure in R&B music. At number 4, we have one of the most influential female groups in R&B history, TLC. Bursting onto the scene in the early 90s, the trio completely changed the image and sound of modern R&B. With their mix of hip-hop attitude, soulful harmonies, and fearless personality. With massive hits like Waterfalls, Creep, No Scrubs, and Unpretty, TLC tackled everything from relationships and empowerment to social issues and self-esteem. Their music videos, fashion style, and outspoken image made them cultural icons far beyond music itself. The Recording Academy heavily recognized their impact during their peak years. TLC earned an impressive 12 Grammy nominations and won 5 Grammy Awards, making them one of the most awarded female R&B groups ever. What made TLC special was their balance between fun and substance. They could create chart-topping party records, while also addressing serious topics that many artists avoided at the time. Decades later, their influence can still be seen in modern girl groups, R&B artists, and pop culture overall. At number 3, we have one of the most unique and sophisticated vocal groups of the late 60s and 70s, the Fifth Dimension. Blending pop, soul, sunshine harmonies, and R&B influences together, the group created a sound that stood apart from almost everyone else during their era. With classics like Let the Sunshine In, Up, Up and Away, and Wedding Bell Blues, the Fifth Dimension became crossover superstars, dominating both pop and soul audiences at the same time. Their polished harmonies and uplifting sound helped define the musical optimism of the late 60s and early 70s. The Recording Academy rewarded their success heavily during their peak years. The Fifth Dimension earned an impressive 14 Grammy nominations and won 6 Grammy Awards, making them one of the most awarded vocal groups of their generation. What made the group especially important was their crossover impact. At a time when music genres were often separated by race and format, the Fifth Dimension successfully bridged pop and R&B audiences together, influencing vocal groups that followed for decades afterward. At number 2, we have one of the biggest crossover groups of the 2000s, the Black Eyed Peas. While originally rooted in hip-hop, the group evolved into a global force by blending pop, dance, funk, and strong R&B influences into a sound that dominated radio worldwide. With massive hits like Where Is the Love?, Let's Get It Started, My Humps, and I Got a Feeling, the Black Eyed Peas became one of the defining groups of the digital music era. Their Their energetic production, futuristic style, and crossover appeal helped them break records across multiple genres and international markets.
Leading us away from unity, that's the reason why sometimes I'm feeling under.
The Recording Academy rewarded that success in a major way. The Black Eyed Peas earned an incredible 16 Grammy nominations and won 6 Grammy Awards, making them one of the most Grammy-successful groups of the 2000s. What made the group especially important was their ability to merge hip-hop, energy, pop hooks, electronic music, and R&B melodies into a sound that appealed to almost every audience globally. Their success helped reshape mainstream music during the late 2000s and opened the door for even more genre-blending artists afterward. At number 1, we have one of the greatest bands in the history of soul, funk, and R&B music, Earth, Wind & Fire. Formed by the visionary Morris White, the group created a sound unlike anything else in music by blending funk grooves, jazz musicianship, spiritual themes, disco energy, and breathtaking vocal harmonies together. With timeless classics like September, Fantasy, Shining Star, and Reasons. Earth, Wind & Fire became one of the most influential and successful groups of all time. Their live performances were legendary, filled with elaborate stage productions, choreography, and unmatched musicianship that made them stand apart from nearly every act of their era. The Recording Academy heavily recognized their impact across decades. Earth, Wind & Fire earned an incredible 17 Grammy nominations and won 6 Grammy Awards, along with receiving a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award for their lasting influence on music history. What made the groups truly special was their ability to combine technical brilliance with emotional warmth. Their music could make people dance, reflect, celebrate, and feel spiritually uplifted all at once. Even today, Earth, Wind & Fire remains one of the most respected and beloved groups ever created in R&B music.